Okay, welcome to the Surprise Truth, a show, a podcast that is featuring a lot of thought leaders. A timely insight can change your life forever. That's what a Surprise Truth is all about. Sometimes we are surprising ourselves with things we don't know about. When we learn about it, we're able to allow it to affect what we do and change the outcome and our destiny. So here we are today with Vivek Atray, a very interesting person I met during my visit to Bangalore. And I would like to explore some ideas of surprise truths in the area and the field that he's involved in. So welcome, Vivek.
Thank you, Sachin, for inviting me. It's not a surprise to be here. I'm probably just happy to be here.
Very glad to see that you've been able to participate in some of the activities you're doing here. And I wanted to ask you a bit about the big picture of where the world is heading today. And do you see any surprise truths that you think people should be aware of so they understand how to navigate the world better?
Yeah, so as a motivational speaker, writer, author, I've graduated from cricket or sports to the civil services to now to speaking, thinking, hopefully a bit of a thought leader and engaging with people like you whom themselves are thinking ahead. So I think the world probably needs to go within a little bit more. We are looking for success outdoors, outside, in relationships, in work, in supposed friendships. But ultimately, we have to change ourselves. So I think the surprise truth for the world is that if you work on your mindset and win the inner battle of the mind, especially after COVID and the mindset problems that people have had, then I think the world will become a better place.
Good. And I know from your background that you used to be an IAS officer.
Yeah.
And that would have led to very interesting experiences about how the country works.
Yeah.
So were there any surprise truths that you encountered in that job which you didn't expect when you actually went in?
So I had a bit of an advantage because my father was an Indian police service officer. He died in service, unfortunately. I got a job in his place in the state civil service, later the Indian administrative service. So I had a kind of insight into what I'm going to expect, but then the people can surprise you. So many a time I'm sitting in a village talking to the villagers, and I'll give you one episode. So I'm the SDM or the subdivisional magistrate of an area, and we were going to a village which didn't have a road till the village. And this is about 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And we are walking, and I am not a hill person. And the guy who was a guide villager, he was trotting along. And I am going, carefully holding on and stuff. And suddenly he turns around and says to about 40 people who are there, and I'm the senior most guy, he says, "Look how the SDM is walking." So embarrassing. So, that was a surprise truth for me. Then I realized I better show. But then, over 3 years when I was posted there, I got a lot of love from the people. The same person became a fan of mine. So that was satisfying. But also, I think the surprise truth that I learned in my service is that India and Indians and the world is a much better place than you think from outside. So I'm a positive person. I didn't see as much corruption as I expected. Mm-hmm. I didn't see as much deceit or, machinations, violence. So I had the developmental kind of role with one odd problem to solve of the unexpected, murderous kinds, but otherwise fine. Yeah.
So how did you transition out of that job into the next step that you did?
Yeah. So I became, as I said, a motivational personality myself somehow. I don't know why. Self-propelled. But then I found myself on stage in service. I was an IAS officer invited to speak once a month, once in 2 months. And then I would get more invitation and TEDx talks, etc. started. And then taking leave from the chief secretary of the state was not an easy job. He said, no, you do your work. Where are you going to Bangalore or Bombay or wherever you're going? I said, I need to go again. No, you can't go. Then ultimately I said, this is, my calling.
Okay.
So I found ease on the stage in front of the camera and talking to people, trying to inspire them. So I think we need role models. And there are role models. You are a role model in your own right. I am a bit of one. But my job is to go and present that behavior of a role model to others and inspire them. So I love it, and I'm glad I resigned to come into this.
So any interesting stories that you may have encountered as a motivational speaker?
Many are there. So many a time the unexpected happens.
Yes.
Right. So many a time, of course, the mic gives way. So that is unexpected or expected, I don't know. So then you have to use your own voice. And I have unexpectedly, my voice, which used to be soft, or it was deep but soft. But now I'm able to throw that voice like a theatre person. And I surprise myself when I can make the last person in the hall hear my voice without the mic. In India, power problems still occur,
Correct.
though not that often. Another unexpected incident which happened was that the topic was not what I expected. And you know, in a serious program like the one we had today, you have to be meticulously prepared. But this was a motivational talk. However, they had thrown in stuff which was unexpected. Yet, when I looked at it, I had 5 minutes to mentally prepare and I was able to do the job.
So, do you also train a lot of youth? Because I heard sometime earlier that you felt that that was your constituency.
Absolutely right.
So, are there any surprise truths that you feel that the youth should know today about the world they live in?
Yeah. I think the surprise truth that they should know is that sleep, physical fitness, mental fitness are going to impact their work and career. So what you do outside your work is more important than what you do at work. Because you prepared yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, if you meditate. And then your efficiency levels in that 8-hour or 10-hour work zone will be much better. So if you take, the Germans started a half-day holiday on Wednesday, many years ago. So they work 4.5 days and they have a holiday for 2.5 days. Their efficiency levels are legendary. So I would say that be kind to yourself, spend that 20% time on yourself, and that 80% will become better.
Okay. So you've also been in the Paramahamsa Yogananda University, right?
Yeah.
And I would say that that's not a very common experience for a lot of people. You're the first person I'm meeting who's from a spiritual center. And I'm trying to understand a little bit about what motivated you and what gives you joy in being involved in those activities, and maybe some surprise truths that you discovered after you became a part of the institution.
That's a great question. So what happened was that my wife read a book called The Autobiography of a Yogi, which is a global bestseller, Paramahansa Yogananda, and she became fascinated by his teachings and started following step-by-step meditation techniques which come in lesson format across the world.
Yes.
And somebody was mentioning 200 countries. I think there are 200 countries where these lessons exist.
Okay.
And this book is available in 90% of the world. And so when she started, I was 5 years behind her. I took 5 years to be convinced by her, and I started as well. I became a practitioner of Kriya Yoga, which is an ancient path which we follow. And then many years down the line, after my resignation, I was asked by the Chancellor of Shulini University up in the hills in Himachal. They were setting up a Yogananda Center for Theology, now called the Yogananda Center for Spiritual Science, that I should chair that. So I, being a practitioner, I was a little bit aware of the teachings. Now I write on the subject. I feel that one has to focus on spirituality in order to be successful in the material world. So to put that earlier point about the youth more succinctly, more directly, if you meditate, you will do better in the rest of the day. You will be calmer. Your decision making will be better. Your concentration will be better. And so that spiritual science is a scientific, any path which is scientific about spirituality, I think that is what we need to adopt. You can't just sit and meditate and think that all the thoughts will go away. Your apple pie will come in the middle with ice cream. So I think that is something we need to adopt as human beings. So this Yogananda Center at Shulini University does a lot. I met some great people in my life, and the interactions I've had, sports persons inspire me. I organized a cricket tournament in my father's memory. I think one has to be multidimensional.
Correct. So I'm going to go reverse back to maybe when you were a young person, maybe
younger,
young as in 10 years old, just in school. And when we are that young, most often we don't know what we want to do in life, and we have kind of surprised ourselves where we actually are. Did you have any early thoughts or thinking when you were, say, 10, 12 years old of what you thought you would be? And did you surprise yourself, or did you fall? Yes.
Life surprised me, I think.
Okay.
So I wanted to be a cricketer.
Okay.
And I was very deeply into cricket and sports. And I was a 10, 12, 14, 16, 18-year-old, till 18, I thought I'm going to be a cricketer. And I played the under-19 CK Naidu, which is the national level tournament, twice.
Yes.
But then at the age of 18, I had to take a call between going for engineering studies at NIT Kurukshetra, where I studied, the National Institute of Technology, then known as the Regional Engineering College of Kurukshetra, and cricket. So my father had a long sitting, my parents, and they said, see, either you're going to play for India or you're going to engineering. So at 18, I didn't know whether I was going to play for India, and I wasn't showing Sachin Tendulkar types of talent. But I was good, but not great.
Yeah.
So then I think I had to take that call. So life surprised me. From cricket, I went to engineering. Engineering, I went to the civil services. Civil services, I went to motivational speaking. So it's been a very surprising journey.
So I'm sure there's a lot ahead of you now. So do you see yourself doing anything different in the next 5-10 years?
I think so.
Yeah.
I speak a lot on the human experience versus AI. And I think in the next 5-10 years, AI is going to really engulf the world. But I still will champion the cause of, let's say, coffee and conversation. The conversation we are having here, we could not have had digitally. You can't see the eyes, you can't see the expression, you can't see the nods, you can't see the smile, as even if it is digital, even if it's pure. But physical presence is required. So I'm going to talk a lot about families, relationships, friendships going forward.
Yeah.
And since my voice is being heard on Instagram, on YouTube by the youth, so I think it becomes my role as a supposed role model to go and enlighten them and tell them that even in AI, you don't have to be absorbed in the virtual world. You have to be part of the real world. So I think I'm going to work a lot on this, write on this, speak on this, exemplify this as much as possible. And I'm a coffee lover, so maybe I'm going to promote coffee more and more. I have discovered the art of making South Indian filter coffee during the lockdown with the 2 little cylinders.
Yes.
And then you put in that and boiling water and it filters. I love it. So I'm going to also promote coffee.
Okay. So you travel a lot in India, I understand.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans to also take what you do outside?
Yeah, so I've spoken at Horasis thrice, and I've been to Spain and Vietnam to speak, and I've also spoken online for international organizations. So I have some invitation from Singapore coming up as well. So I think although a lot of people who meet me, they've seen my videos online, even they are from abroad. And I've been on some major podcasts like the Ranveer Show, which is very famous here. So I think I will continue to do that. And yes, I do plan to go abroad. Yeah.
Very good. So, the surprise truth lies in what you're doing next. And we are always continuously surprised at what we ourselves do.
Yes.
So I wish you all the best.
Yes.
And to our viewers, I would like to especially say that, you can follow Vivek on his social media channels and see what he's up to. But we'll provide some information here in this episode, and you can follow that up as well. But feel free to get connected with us with the conversation. If you want to share some ideas or you want to talk about some of the things that Vivek is doing, we would be very happy that you can connect.
Thank you so much. Sachin,
thank you so much,
and
and looking forward to the next episode of The Surprise Truth.
It's such a peppy conversation. It was a joy. Thank you.
Thank you.